Hello virtual pilots, I'm Andre Celesti and welcome to the 4th edition of the Hip Talk Show, where we pick a subject and bring important members of our community to discuss it. You can join us too, more information in the video description on how to do that. The subject for today is DCS World Campaigns and the future of scripted missions. We talk about past and present campaigns that we experience and what would the future bring in regards of missions, recreations of real-life events or fictional campaigns that can offer a great experience in our favorite sim. Apart from the free campaigns that come with most modules in DCS World, I own a few campaigns from our talented third-party mission creators, and I remember that my first one was The Enemy Within by Baltic Dragon for the A10C Warthog, now in version 3.0 for the 2-tank killer. A story-driven campaign that puts you in the cockpit of the Warthog as part of a small 6-ships US detachment sent to Georgia. Your mission is to help contain a growing threat from a terrorist organization calling themselves Caucasus Liberation Army. Now, as the story unfolds, you are faced with a variety of challenges including close air support, precision strike, combat search and rescue, anti-ship strikes, and even air-to-air combat. I remember how exciting everything was, and I was thinking to restart it again since the updated A10C is also in my hangar. Since then, I gathered my fair share of campaigns for different modules like the Epson campaign for the Spitfire, the Oilfield for the Mi-8 HIP, Raven 1 for the Hornet, and recently I went back to the A10C with Operation Persian Freedom by Ground Pounder Sims. But as DCS evolves and gets more features for campaign creators, more elements that you can throw in the fight, more scripting power and revamp for the AI, we can only wonder and guess what is next. For those of you that never tried a campaign before, remember that they have requirements, like certain modules and maps. Most of them are done in the free Caucasus and Marianas Islands. Of course, we know that ED is still working on that dynamic campaign that we are still waiting for the last few years. I know we have to have some patience and understanding, we do, and we hope it will be something that we can all enjoy no matter if we fly in multiplayer or a single player environment. But now, let's take our talk to our community. And our first caller is Ras. Hello and thank you for joining our discussion today. Tell me, did you get to fly in any of the campaigns available for DCS World?
I have. Thank you for presenting me. The first campaign that I've touched is the Fear the Bones campaign with the famous Tomcat. It was challenging, but I loved it. I just finished it not too long ago, and I am about to kick off Speed and Angels, I believe, that just released from
Reflected, is it?
Reflected, yes. I apologize if Reflected you hear this. I always forget it. I'm horrible with names.
It's okay. It's totally fine.
I think I have several of his campaigns. I also have the Blue Nose Bastards, and I actually started doing that as well. I kind of briefly also played the F-18 Hornet Aggressors in the Nevada map.
Okay.
I don't know if you've seen that one. It's interesting. I only got to the first mission, but I went back to the Tomcat. So,
do you fly single missions that are posted, for example, on the user file section?
I do.
Do you recommend any of them?
Yeah, there's one that was really cool. The newest one that I've been flying, which is more of a training mission that someone created, but it's the Doppler formation one. That one's amazing.
Oh yeah.
And then there's an F-18 bridge mission. Like I think that's what it's called on the DCS if you look it up. And I forget the person that made it, but essentially you're dropping a bomb or two on a couple bridges to prevent the enemy tanks and vehicles to cross over. So it's pretty cool.
In your opinion, what makes a good mission campaign in DCS World?
I think the immersiveness, the inclusivity of like adding extra factors, different planes coming by, the voiceovers definitely make I say that's the make it or break it, because my base of reference is the Fear the Bones, and the voiceovers were great. It just makes me laugh, and they joke around, they talk, and if you put that in a mission that you're flying 50 miles, 100 miles a round trip or more, having that makes the mission all the worth while.
What was the hardest mission that you ever played in DCS World?
when I first started, the worst and worst and worst was air-to-air refueling missions. I know when I started with the Fear the Bones, you had to like refuel, and if I didn't practice it 1,000 times, I would never get it to the point where I'm at now.
Okay, do you have any tips or recommendation for our viewers looking to purchase a campaign for their modules in DCS World?
For the campaigns tips, just look at YouTube, see if there's anybody that has any walkthroughs, any playthroughs of the campaign, because they are long. Not that they're expensive, so if you get them on the sales, you get them pretty cheap.
Yeah.
But invest, like you said earlier, it's investing that time. And with the Blue Nose Bastards mission, I've done, I think, 3 of them. They are long. They require a lot of time, where you're just flying to get to the bombers, and then come, after the escorts, you're covering them and coming back. So that flight time, you have to be prepared to know that it's not just take off, shoot, and come back. There is that time where you're just not doing a lot, but just going from point A to point B. And you can see it on the Fear Bones campaign as well. There's a mission that took me, I think, 2.5 hours. I think it was, because you had to go from waypoint 1 and 2 at least 3 times before something happened. So before investing the money and the time, just look and see on YouTube if there's anybody out there that has done a playthrough.
So basically, to know what you're getting yourself into. Do you create your own missions sometimes, just to test, or maybe just to have fun?
I do. I've tried, and I've looked at, obviously videos and videos on how to do it, because the mission editor is not easy. But I have created a couple missions for just me to practice. They're not great to publish out yet, but maybe in the future I'll do one.
Well, thankfully, there's a lot of content out there and a lot of mission creators, so we don't need to worry.
Yeah, because there's plenty out there.
Yeah.
There's plenty of mission creators out there that, I go on the forums a lot, and I look and I see, and there's missions for everything. And it's just incredible what the community is doing. You have the passion for the game, and you're creating a full mission, and the fact that you're sharing it is even better.
Anything else that you would like to add before we let you go?
I actually have my YouTube that's what I focus on, showing people the campaigns and the playthroughs.
So you are a content creator?
Yeah, I wanted to plug that in, or ask you about that after.
You should have said that before, of course. So now you need to tell us more, please. Do you do showcases of the missions?
I just showcase the other campaigns. I don't think as I mentioned earlier, I'm not the best at my own campaigns, but hopefully in the future I'll show mine. But I like to other people to show my failures. I don't really edit much of them. I show from beginning to end. And if I fail, I want everybody to see how I failed. And if I succeeded, I want everybody to see how I succeeded. I want them to see the full mission campaign. If it's super long, like the Blue Nose Bastards, I tend to cut them out a little bit on the no action sections. But yeah, I try and show as much as I can about the campaign, so that the viewer can see what it's about.
Well, you just earned yourself a subscriber, and I'm gonna link your channel down below in the video description. Thank you so much for joining us today, Raz, and I hope to hear from you in the future. But until then, keep up the good work over there on your channel and fly safe.
Thank you for having me.
So that was our first caller for today, Raz, a content creator that showcases campaigns and missions. Feel free to check him out. I linked his channel in the video description. But now we move on to our next caller, Walker. Thank you for joining in. Please tell me, what mission content do you like in DCS World?
Currently, I'm playing single-player missions, mostly the community-made ones, but I do plan on buying a couple of missions created by Baltic and Reflected Simulations. Apart from that, I mostly try to fly Liberation campaigns, single-player mostly.
And what are your thoughts about the Liberation campaign?
I think for a community made tool, DCS Liberation definitely tries to punch above its weight class, and it does a pretty good job. There are some oddities here and there, but it's mostly the compatibility between the tool and DCS itself. but I think it's much more fun. And I think the people should give it a try. Definitely should give it a try.
For our viewers that don't know about the Liberation Campaign, I linked it in the video description so you can check it out. Moving on, because you fly in the Liberation Campaign, what do you think that the dynamic campaign from DCS World should contain?
When it comes to dynamic campaign, first thing first, I would like to have more of a threat. Because currently, if you know that there is a distinct lack of Red 4 aircraft. The only probable threat that we have is the Chinese JF-17, and yeah, that's the only aircraft that it's very full fidelity and can do pinpoint strikes, can do air domination and stuff. I personally want DCS to make the existing platforms like Su-27 and the J11 to just slightly be a bit more lethal. Like maybe give them weapons like R77-1, or have them select different loadout and be able to do some sort of semi-precision strike capability. Because if you notice, when you're flying against a Su-27 with a F-16, you generally have a AIM 120C, and you can actually be more accurate and take out the Red 4 aircraft with pretty ease. It's not much of a challenge when you're going against a Russian or Chinese aircraft. But when you're going against something like a F-14 or something like that, then the game starts to change a little bit. Then you have to think more tactically and have a game plan in ahead. So just adding a little bit of, just changing few parameters in those aircraft can actually make it much more dynamic. That now that you do not underestimate the opposing aircraft, and you start to have to plan ahead and imagine fight, if you know what I mean.
I understand. Basically, a better balance when it comes to the lethality of each side, so in a gaming environment would make sense.
It would also make sense in milsim environment as well, because obviously the weapons that the J11 and 27 uses, they are based on mainly made in 1990s or 1980s.
Exactly.
Environment. But the weapons that Blue Forge Jets uses, they are like very recent, up to 2008, 2010, I believe. So like just matching them up with the range and capability wise, it can also make sense milsim wise, and also make sense game wise. But I understand there are like hoops to jump around across regarding the country, which is not so friendly and stuff.
You said you fly user created missions from the user file section?
Yeah, I regularly visit them and try to fly mostly. I've been recently looking up the F-18 missions, and because I want to do only US Navy campaign using Liberation. So I've been mostly deep diving with F-18 single player missions recently.
Do you have any tips or advice for newcomers to DCS?
My first initial reaction would be, do not go for any fancy jets like the F-18, F-16. I did the mistake. I was impatient. I spent my money and then virtually had no idea what to do with them. So my first initial thought is first master the Su-25T, because that's a plane which is lethal as a tank and is easy to fly as a coloring book. And then you can go with FC3, master tactics in them. They're pretty basic, but they can be very lethal if you know what you're doing. And once you are pretty okay with this, then you can think about graduating to the any of the modules. And then once you have a full fidelity module, focus only on that. Try to master almost all aspects of it, like refueling, employing precision bombs, different mission sets like seed and stuff. And then you can go for online multiplayer, or you can try with Liberations.
Before we let you go, what thoughts do you have of the future of development when it comes to DCS World, especially mission creation and that dynamic campaign?
This is personally what my opinion is regarding the way Eagle Dynamics is approaching the DCS platform. My thought is currently Eagle Dynamics is basically putting a lot of stuff in creating new modules, new terrains, etc. Which is again great. I understand they are running a business, they are not running a charity, and this is a complicated kind of simulation. But my thought is for now, for next module, DCS should step back, let the third party developers develop new modules for DCS. In that way, they can have a revenue stream running, and then go back to add more threat and challenges for the player. Because if you go play DCS right now, you can create missions, you can add challenges to yourself, then you can go for community made missions and all. But when you go at the end baseline, the challenge mostly comes from ground to air aspect of it. So when you're going against threat for air defenses against you, and you're trying to deliver a strike and stuff. But if you just not change everything, but just make smaller tweaks to the Red 4 aircrafts, then you can not only provide much more dynamic way to challenge a player and keep the player engaged and master them, but you can also extend the the utility of AI as well. So like for now, if you fly in SC-27 and you try to drop bombs, you cannot drop a single bomb or two bombs, or you can't repel them. You just drop all of them at once, and that I think it's you are losing a potential for there, where you can use a aircraft both in multi-role kind of scenario, if you get what I mean.
Yeah, makes sense.
If you look at it historically, it's a multi-role aircraft from a Red 4 side, and you're just only letting it utilize half of its potential.
Do you fly in single player or multiplayer?
Earlier, when I was new to DCS, I would fly mostly in Pocket and Growling Sidewinder. Now, recently, I've been favoring more and more on the single player side, because you have much more independence, and you can do a lot of scenarios. I do run a server for my team locally, so we do play multiplayer sometimes, co-op missions and stuff.
Well, Walker, thank you for joining in today and sharing your experience and your views on the future of DCS and gameplay with missions and campaigns. I hope to hear from you soon, but until next time, take care.
Sure, thank you.
And before we move on to our next caller, well, it's time for our sponsor. VR Rock is offering something we deem right for our community: blue light protection and specialized prescription lenses for your VR headsets. Yes, you heard me right. It's a problem I encountered ever since I started using my VR headset. My friends who wear prescription glasses couldn't enjoy flying in DCS as my headset couldn't safely fit without taking the glasses off. VR Rock will manufacture the lenses according to the prescription information you provide, fitting most VR headsets currently on the market, and will ship it worldwide with the benefit of a tax-free policy. They also include non-prescription eye protection lenses. If you use our Hip Games discount code, you will receive 5% on any order and support our channel in the process. Link is in the video description. And our next caller is Jakes. Thank you for rejoining our Hip Talk show. Please tell me, did you had any time to test any of the recent campaigns for DCS World?
Hey, good to be back. I actually have flown quite a few of the campaigns currently, and still have a bunch in my library that I still need to fly.
Which is your favorite campaign, or which was the last one that you flew?
Last one I flew was Raven 1 Dominant Fury, and it's a tough one. What's a favorite? It's between three. It's Raven 1 Dominant Fury, or Operation Cerberus North.
And what elements do you think made this campaign so special for you to like?
Enjoy the custom voiceovers and the background chatter in some of the missions. It just makes it feel like you're really there. It doesn't have that clinical feel like the standard missions you get with DCS has, where it's just like the normal comms between jets. It's actual, you tune to this channel and you can listen to a whole conversation going on the other end of the map type of thing, and it's just absolutely amazing. I think that's something both Baltic Dragon and Ground Pounder nail perfectly.
Okay, and in your opinion then, what makes a good campaign in DCS World?
I think a lot of the times for me personally is I like the unexpected. So it's fun when you do like a mission or two and it's, you fly the brief and everything's fine, but then you get a mission where you take off, everything's going fine, and then everything just goes all over the place and you have to just adapt very quickly to the new parameters. That to me was very cool in some of the missions, and that I absolutely love it when they throw in those nice little curveballs here and there.
Do you fly any missions from the user file section?
I have tried a couple, but none that really come to mind because it's been a very long time since I did. I have downloaded, Operation Cheetah? It's a new campaign. The guy released it for free on the forums. Yeah, that's one that I'm busy looking at getting started soon. It's for the Hornet. And then the, the Formation Trainer. That's quite a newish one. I think the Bogey Dope did a video about it a couple weeks ago.
Yes. Bogey Dope is one of my favorite YouTubers out there. And we covered this mission also on our channel. It is a great one for you to be able to learn how to stay in formation. Which was the hardest mission that you ever fly?
It has to be one of the Persian Freedom missions with the 18. I'm trying to remember which mission number it was, but you have to do close air support for a bunch of special forces guys so that they can extract. And I don't know, I've flown that mission probably 10 times.
Wow.
And the man-pads just keep getting me every single time. So it's the one mission that I just haven't been able to get through just yet. But I kind of did a stupid thing and I got the 18. I did one of the Maple Flag. They did the training campaigns for the 18. I started doing the training campaign and then I was like, okay, this is cool. I think I've got the hang of it. And then I decided, okay, let me start a campaign because jumping at the deep end, let's see how we can learn. Yeah, that campaign is not for beginners. It's a tough campaign and it's absolutely incredible. And that no matter how frustrated I got with it and with myself, I just want to keep going back to it and keep trying again. It's just brilliant.
Do you think that any changes will happen to our scripted campaigns the moment that dynamic campaign will launch in DCS world? Or anything that could impact our mission creation?
I honestly think that our story-driven campaigns are safe. There's just something special about a story-driven scenario where you got to do X, Y, Z. You have, and it's got a storyline to it. There's just, and as it unfolds, it's something I don't think you can really get in a dynamic campaign environment. But I think for big multiplayer operations, or even just, I feel like logging in and I don't want to focus too much on a story. I just want to go and do something, have a bit of fun. The dynamic campaign is going to be amazing for that. And in all honesty, if you look at the incredible work guys like Baltic and Reflected and Ground Pounder do, they are going to find a way to take that dynamic campaign and completely use it to their advantage and give us even more incredible story-driven campaigns that will have, like Mass Effect style decision points. I mean, I'm not saying it's going to happen tomorrow. It's a long-term dream, but I'm pretty sure one of those three guys will figure out a way to do it, and we will have, a series of campaigns coming from them that are story-driven, but where a decision you made in the first campaign hurts you in the third campaign or helps you in the third campaign. Like, I don't know, it wouldn't surprise me in the least if they did that.
It may sound as a weird question, but do you fly the Tomcat?
If taking off and snapping the wings off counts as flying the Tomcat, then yes. I'm trying. I'm learning.
That was my first flight experience too, don't worry.
There's two types of people who fly the Tomcat. Those who have torn the wings off and those who have lied about it.
Now, because you are flying the Tomcat, are you looking forward to try the new Reforger campaign?
I'm definitely going to give it a shot. I've had the Tomcat for about 2 years, but haven't put a lot of time into it. But that's changing now. So between the Viper and the Tomcat, I'm trying to balance my time. And I'm absolutely loving the analog feel of the Tomcat. So I want to get to the point where I can fly those campaigns comfortably, and maybe if I'm brave enough, attempt Reflected Speed and Angels campaign. That is a tough one, and I think that would probably be one of the most rewarding campaigns to complete.
Anything else that you would like to add before we let you go?
Well, there's one thing I would like to mention is just a bit of a shout out to Ground Pounder Sim. Old Chilling has released the first mission. It's still very much an early access version of the mission for his F-16 campaign that's coming. First in Weasels Over Syria, I think it's called. And that's available on his Discord channel. And I read through some of the briefing material. I mean, if you've flown any of the Ground Pounder campaigns, you know his briefing material is next level.
Yeah.
And it's looking pretty incredible. So I haven't flown it myself yet because I still don't even know how to drop a bomb in the F-16, but I'm getting there. I've already downloaded it. I can't wait to actually try it.
Perfect, and that bit of information will be linked also in our video description. Thank you so much for joining us once again, Jakes, and until next time, fly safe.
Always. Thanks so much.
And our last caller for today is once again Sergeant Dev Rupesh, our community manager at Heap Games TV. Hello, Commander Rupesh. How are you?
Hello.
Tell me, do you get to fly any campaigns recently?
Oh yeah. I have been flying some user file campaigns made by our community. Pretty good ones, amazing ones.
So tell me, in your opinion, what makes a good mission campaign in DCS world?
If you're making the mission, you know where the enemy is going to be because you place them there. Yeah, they might change their position if they are planes, but you know what's going to be their plan and where they're going to go in a general way. What I feel is if everything is dynamic, like we have a server, I think most of the people know about it. It's called Levant. Those people did some great job in making the mission. Now, there are some things they could improve, but I have never seen something like that. It's just amazing what they have done. We have a lot of people flying in there from our hip games as well. I tried it myself. It's kind of good. You don't know where the enemy is going to come from. It's spawning randomly, not randomly, but dynamically.
What would you want to see being implemented in that dynamic campaign from DCS?
So right now we have community-made scripts, we can say. A lot of them don't work, or maybe they have a specific way to work, which I haven't figured out yet. We have a few members from our community who are into mission making, and I have asked their help, and they've asked my help before to figure out the fancy scripts that can block the slots. And I would like if the ED implements those things as a part of a, let's say, out of the box experience. That would be good. There is one more thing I would like in the dynamic system would be some focus on logistics. We have Chinook is coming, and a lot of other aircrafts are coming, like C-130. I would like it if currently we have a weapon management system. If that gets dynamic, that will be very, very good. Because then players will have more things to do rather than just fighting and going out of the border and doing stuff. It will be good if the if one player gets to transport some goods and rest of the players are escorting it. If not rest, like a few players are escorting it, that would be good.
Now, as I know that you are working for some time on a dynamic campaign system in DCS world, a personal project that we'll cover in more detail in a future show, can you brief us on your current plans?
So when I saw the Levant mission, I kind of like it, but there are a lot of things that are missing from the mission, if we can say. So what I have done, there's a scarcity of resources when it comes to the like a documentation on our engine of DCS and mission creation. I have asked a few guys from Levant. I have asked a lot of people from 4YA, and I have a few things that I'm using right now to make the mission, but it involves a lot of coding and a lot of, let's say, disappointment when it comes to the engine, because I can compare it to Arma 3, and they have amazing documentation. So if ED can do that, that will be amazing. So I'm working on a mission where you can, the things are dynamically spawned. If you are crossing the border, it's like a Cold War system where I'm working on the Syrian one right now, so you're gonna be spawning in the H3 base, south or I think north of Iraq somewhere, and then you can. The scenario is that Syria did some things, and now the international coalition is doing Desert Storm against it, if we can put it that way. You're gonna be you can choose whatever mission you want to do. Maybe you want to do Seed, you're a Wild Weasel, you want to do Cap, you want to do Cass. You can choose those things, and then you can do the missions, perform the missions, and they are all dynamically spawned. What I have noticed in the Levant, when you choose a mission, the enemy spawns at a certain place and it doesn't change. So if you are playing Levant for like a couple months, you would know where the people are gonna spawn. So what I have done in my mission is that everything is dynamic, even the spawning of the enemies. They're gonna spawn at a general location, but like, let's say I want to do Seed, and there is reports of, let's say, a shot down of an aircraft by a missile or something, and then they want you to check the area and suppress that position. You would get to the general place, and then you will have to figure out where the radiation is coming from, where the enemy is locking you from, and then you do your mission. Let's say you completed that mission, and then a server restarts, and then there's a new mission, and now you want to do more Seed. You go back, and well, you were expecting it to spawn at the exact same place, but it doesn't. It spawns at it's spawning at the other place, and now it's like more scary. You can say. You don't know where they're gonna spawn and where the missile is gonna come from, because they're gonna be sneaky. It's not like a normal DCS where the if you shoot a Seed missile, it's gonna hit the target, and in real life they would turn off their radar, and in DCS they wouldn't, and then the harm will do its job. But if I think this is one thing that Levant did as well. I'm not sure about it, but I think they have done it. If you shoot a harm at them and they realize they have a missile inbound, they will just turn off their radar. That's one thing I'm working on. It just takes a lot of time without any documentation, but yeah.
I'm curious, how far are you in your plans to release this mission?
So right now, most of the air-to-air stuff is done. Air-to-ground stuff is still in work. I am currently working on the enemies, because you're not the only one who's going to be attacking. The enemy is also going to attack. They're not going to be sitting ducks. So Syrian planes will come out in your place, and they will attack your positions as well. I'm working on a system like that. And in missions, I have seen that if you capture a base, the enemy doesn't try to capture it back from you. It's like, yeah, we have given up on it. Now, that's not going to be a thing. If you capture, let's say, Aleppo airfield, you're going to get a heavy resistance from, let's say, Abu al-Duhur or Tabqa or somewhere else. And they're going to try to capture that base back. So there's going to be a big role of logistic players in this, because let's say if the enemy sent some SC-22s and they have killed your Hawk site or whatever you have deployed there, well, then you have to repair that site, or if not replace, and that needs parts. So logistic players are going to be doing a big role, and I understand that there's not always going to be logistic players who want to supply you stuff at the front line. So I'm working on like AI to do that thing, because we have AI can do Black Hawks and all of those fancy helicopters. And they're more realistic, if we can say. It kind of looks weird when a Huey is supplying airdrops to the position which can spawn, let's say, a SA-8 or Patriot site. Yeah, I'm working on some of those things.
And how is the performance currently in testing?
So you can say I'm built different. I always focus on performance. At the start of the whole thing, when I was working on it, performance was like horrible. The AI will spawn like 60 planes to respond to one threat. I have fixed a lot of those issues, and I'm still working on making it more optimized. I'm getting decent FPS because not everything's gonna be loaded when you start, and the mission will slowly progress. So at the end of the mission, it gets very heavy. This is why we need multi-threading and all of those things to smooth out the performance of the sim itself. So what I have figured out is that I'm gonna restart the mission several times. It's gonna run for like, let's say 5 hours if we are doing a multiplayer.
Yeah.
I think we have a few members from TGFP community who want to host it, so let's see how it goes. But if it turns into a 24/7 mission, I will make sure it restarts every 6 hours, and then yeah, we will have good performance like that.
Well, that sounds great, Rupesh. I'm looking forward to showcase this mission on our channel and have that one-on-one interview in the future. But until then, keep up the good work, and thank you for being here on our Hip Talk show.
Thank you.
And so we end our 4th edition of our Hip Talk show, a pre-recorded show that will be available for our Patreon supporters and special members to participate here on Discord. For more information on how to get in a future episode, check the video description. And that's it for today. A big thank you to my Hip crew that supports our channel with news and content. Thank you all for watching. Remember to leave us a like if you find a video informative and entertaining, and subscribe to keep in touch with all the latest news on your favorite simulators and games. I am Andre Celesti, reminding you to fly safe, and I'll see you next time.